UndergroundHipHopBlog.com exclusive.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. It's the Underground Hip Hop Blog. Man, you guys just got blessed right now. You have no idea. I'm sitting here with the very talented, very humble individual. He goes by the name of Josh Vietti. How you feeling, bro?
Pretty good. How's it going?
I'm chilling. Check it out. I don't know if you guys know, but my man's got a show coming up at the Whiskey this Thursday. It's going to be extremely dope. I'll be there along with the Underground Hip Hop Blog. Make sure you check it out. I wanted to talk to you about being a performer and being an artist in the studio as well. I wanted to talk to you about the difference, in your opinion, with the environments and as far as like letting things flow naturally. I know being a street musician, coming from that background, you let everything kind of play out. But as of right now, you're doing a lot of big shows, festivals, and things like that. You could touch on all that, but I kind of want to know what it feels like to be on a violin in front of all these people.
I'm definitely more of a performer opposed to just like a studio musician. Although I have done a lot of session work, I prefer like the live feel of a crowd. I like the interaction. I try to do a call and response, like what an MC or a lyricist or even DJs will do. I try to do with the violin. So I could have an entire crowd of 10,000 people singing a chorus on a song they know, and then improvise and play like the main hook and stuff like that. So I much prefer a live setting. For me, it's hard to capture that live energy in the studio, and that's definitely a challenge for me. But I definitely shine on a stage. That's my kind of area. And I started as a street performer, so having to make a crowd out of nothing, people aren't there to see you, and hecklers and cops writing you tickets and trying to suspend you, and beef from other performers and being robbed. Yep, no, I've been through all that. I started in 2006. It wasn't until like 2010 started getting picked up by. So 4 years of just being in the trenches, literally. Paying my dues, but I learned a lot in that time, and I'm still learning every day. But I definitely prefer the live setting.
That's very interesting because I was just at Venice the other day, and you see everything from dancers and the guy that walks on glass with his bare feet, and there's like you got musicians, there's like a variety of people out there doing their thing. So I can only imagine what it must have been like to be out there and kind of just play your heart out, and hopefully people stop and check you out, and then to build from that to where you are now. Talking about the festival that you just rocked, I think it was B.O.B. What was the festival called?
I had the honor of performing at the Stone Soul Music Festival. I'm from England. It was in Richmond, Virginia. It was freaking hot and humid and insanely awesome. There was 15,000 people. It was a soul festival. It started off as like almost a worship service, and then I played, and I think it transitioned to the hip-hop element, and I end up opening up for B.O.B., French Montana, and the headliner of the show was Fantasia, and they all killed it. So that was insane.
Traditionally, when people think of hip hop, the first thing they don't see is somebody on a violin. You know what I'm saying? But hip hop has always been real big on sampling other musicians and things like that. So I wanted to talk to you. Is there some influences that you had? Because like I said, coming up playing the violin, like what got you into hip hop?
It was when I think it was in almost 2007. I was just literally fiddling around, not trying to be funny. That's what I was doing on the street, trying to make money and hustle demos I put together in GarageBand. That's what I did. And then I got my first session was with a New York rapper, and he's like, "Hey, you want to do a studio time?" I'm like, I didn't even think about money or anything. I'm like, "Sweet, somebody wants me to do studio. I never did before." So like, hell yeah, I'll do that. So I heard the beats from the producers, and he was rapping. And that was my first real introduction of putting those worlds together. And then from there, I was just hooked and started trying to make my own beats, realizing I wasn't very good at it. So I got other people to do it for me. And then just focus. My focus is string arrangement. I will knock it out of the park on that.
Speaking of that, like hip hop, there's a lot of people that do when they travel, they play with live bands. We just saw Dell at the Back to Basics festival. He rocked with a live band. Shout out to EJ and Buku. Yeah, they play with live instruments. So, is there anybody out there that you've seen play live as far as hip hop that you would like to share the stage with and kind of rock their whole live ensemble?
Jay-Z, definitely. It's the first thing that comes to mind. And what I think I have to offer as a violin player, because there's other people that do it, like Miri Ben-Ari is like the first person to do it, and she's an influence of mine. But my style is unique. So I have a wider range, I think, than a lot of other violinists that appeals to like the hip-hop culture. And I'm able to take the percussive aspects of a beat or a lyric, and I can mimic that on a string, but then add underlying melodies too, and kind of enhance it, like making almost a new element in the hip-hop culture, if you will. That's how I look at it. That's my goal.
I remember some of her music. She actually worked with Jay, and then hearing you play, going back and forth with some of the vocals, matching the melodies, matching everything is. I mean, I don't play music, but I can only imagine how hard it must be. But for you, it comes natural, and you make it look really smooth. So that's really dope. How long have you been playing all together?
Probably like 22 years now. So it's been a while. It wasn't until like I actually went to college in Long Beach and then graduated and didn't want to get a real job. And so I started street performing, seriously, and kind of like just fell into it and fell in love with the hip-hop beats and wanted to contribute my own like aspect to it.
Outside of hip-hop, what other kind of music has kind of influenced you just as a human being, not just a musician, but what is it that you listen to on your downtime when you're not actually playing?
Like classical music, from like Bach, Vivaldi to jazz. I love jazz. Bebop is probably my favorite genre. Everything. Like I'll listen. I think there's good in every genre, and I like to listen to different cultures too, because the string instrument is one of the oldest instruments that exists. That and the drum were like from the first things that people would make a drum out of a hide or a string instrument from an animal. And so like Middle Eastern melodies are like some of the most like primal, I think, like melodies you can do, and I love that. I like doing that in hip hop a lot. Yeah, that's probably why I like playing to Scott Storch beats, because that Middle Eastern influence and the hip hop and now the string I can put in that new aspect.
Opening up people's minds to a world outside of just what you hear on the radio and things like that. But speaking of radio, you were just on Power 106's, everybody pretty much knows Power. You were on one of the biggest mixes they had recently, am I right?
I got to give a plug to the show, playing at the Whiskey on Thursday. And I'm mentioning that because I was on DJ Fortify's Jump Off mix. It was played this whole weekend. They're going to play it more. And in Los Angeles on Power 106. And I got featured on a couple tracks. I think it was Kush and Alcohol, and then another one with Miguel and J. Cole on Power Trip, and some other really dope tracks. So that's playing all over Power 106, and it's kind of nice to get a little shine in Los Angeles finally, because I've been all over the East Coast and the South and Midwest, and I'm from here, but I'm finally starting to do stuff in L.A., the West Coast.
Pretty much any musician, it isn't until you leave and you make noise outside of your hometown where they actually kind of accept you and embrace you and give you that attention that they normally wouldn't because they saw you playing on the street in Venice or wherever. Yep. So it takes time to build it up. So it's really dope to see you accomplish all these things. Man, keep it going. We're not done, though. I wanted to talk to you about a dream collaboration. Somebody out there in any genre of music, anybody that you would like to work with, if you can, if we made it possible. If I cut the check, who would you want to work with?
I think I'd like to do something with Dr. Dre. That would be freaking sick. Like add some live plucking, no joke. Some of my own original melodies over his insanely dope, legendary beats. He's probably one of my favorite producers, if not my favorite producer.
So Dre, if you're listening, Dre's people, if you're listening, check out Josh Vietti. My man is killing it on strings. Appreciate your time, brother. Let these people know where to find the music.
YouTube, just look up Josh Vietti, and that's spelled Josh, V like victory, Ietti. Follow me on twitter.com/Josh Vietti, facebook.com/Josh Vietti Violin, and my website is joshvietti.com.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you make it out to the show. If not, catch him on YouTube. Josh Vietti. Peace.
What up? This is Josh Vietti, like spaghetti, and you are checking out undergroundhiphopblog.com. Peace.
Undergroundhiphopblog.com exclusive.